guys, it's Gabby, and today I'm going to be taking you through my Hamilton, Chicago experience. I said I was going to vlog. Long story short, I didn't. I wanted to enjoy my night and I didn't want to feel rushed to put footage together that I wouldn't be happy with in the end. And I think that it's better that I'm doing this way because I'm actually able to better get across my thoughts from the show, and I'm able to give you something that'll actually be worth watching, something that'll actually give you a good idea of what my experience was like, rather than just a whole bunch of video clips put together. And I'm really excited to discuss the show with you guys. I don't want this video to be too strenuously long, as I know it's probably already going to be. So I'm just going to get started. As for spoilers, it shouldn't be anything too bad. If there is, I'll leave like a picture of the Hamilton logo somewhere in the corner when a spoiler does come up, so you can mute the video if you don't want to be spoiled. But if anything, I think this video will just be helpful if you want to see the show, because it'll give you a good idea of the cast, of my own experience, and, you know, of some specific things in the show to look out for if you're interested in that. But that all being said, I want to get right into this discussion, so let's get started. So this experience was absolutely amazing. I got to share this night with so many important people in my life. It was really cool to get to experience this whole night with them, especially on my 16th birthday, because it was like coming full circle with these three important groups in my life and getting to experience it with them. It was just something that was really cool. I took a limo down to the private bank theater, which was really cool because I'd never been in a limo before, and it was really nice about not having to worry about getting there or getting back, because we were seeing it on a weekday, so I didn't want my mom to have to worry about the stress of driving either. Our driver was absolutely amazing. The limo was gorgeous. It was such a cool experience and something that I will never ever forget. And there was this moment when we were pulling up to the private bank theater when I could see the marquee out of the window that it hit me that this is actually happening. And it was one of the weirdest feelings in the entire world, because you spend hundreds of days counting down to this and waiting for it and waiting for it and waiting for it and waiting for it. And then finally you don't have to wait for it anymore and you're in that room where it happens, and it's the craziest feeling in the entire world, and it has such a big payoff, and it was just so cool to have that moment of like, oh my god, this is happening. So once we got to the theater, we took some pictures outside of the venue, and all the pictures turned out really great. Maybe I'll put some of them here. The house opened, we got our ticket scanned. There was a small hitch, but thankfully everything worked out. And so then once we got into the house, we bought some merch. So I'm going to show you all the things that I got. So the first thing we have here is this Hamilton Chicago shirt. You have the Chicago flag on there, and instead of having just regular red stars, you have like the red stars from Hamilton, like the logo, and they're just really pretty. And I knew the minute that I saw the cast when they had this shirt, I knew I wanted to get it for myself, because I think it's perfect. Instead of just being a regular Hamilton shirt, it's Hamilton Chicago, which on the back then you have the script that says Hamilton American Musical Chicago. I love the gold script that's used for writing out Chicago. It's just really pretty, and the shirt is super soft. I love it so much. I'm going to probably wear this thing a lot, and I love this shirt, and I'm so glad that I have it because it's absolutely amazing. So the next thing I have here is this Hamilton beanie, and it has the Hamilton logo just stitched in gold. I love hats. If you can't tell, I'm wearing one now. We just had our first snow of the season in Chicago, so I'm going to need to wear these a lot, especially because it gets cold, and winters are pretty much unbearable here. And I guess it's good that I wear hats because I have really long, thick hair, so I can't really like do a lot of things with it, like curling it or braiding it or putting it in a ponytail or a bun, without lots of hair gel and ponytails and clips. So I wear lots of hats and clips and headbands and things like that just to do something with my hair. So I'm glad I have this because I love beanies. They're super adorable, and this is super soft and comfortable, and I've been wearing this a lot, and I'm really excited to wear it more. So next we have here is this Hamilton program book. This has pictures from the New York show, but I still saw it and wanted it because I love all of these bookish type things, especially because all the photos in here are just absolutely gorgeous, and I definitely want to take more time to look through this. But one of the things I really love about this is that there are these like wax pages that have a whole bunch of the lyrics printed on them. So then you have the silhouette that appears that is like the picture on the other side, which I think is just really pretty and really cool, and there's like several of those throughout this book. I really want to sit down and look through everything because I love looking through all these pictures because they're so pretty, and they have like all the lyrics on there, and it's just really fun to look through this. I love it so much, and I always love all these book type things because as a reader you really appreciate this, especially with all the pictures and all the pretty lyrics, and this, I'm really happy I have this because I'm definitely going to spend time and look through this more and appreciate it and probably display it on my shelf. I'm probably going to need to get a full Hamilton shelf soon with all of the Hamilton goodies that I keep getting. And so the final thing we have here is a set of 6 Hamilton buttons that all have the different Hamilton logos on here. There's the original logo here. There's, I think that maybe Philip here, or Lawrence, I have no idea. Then there's Mulligan and Lafayette. There's George Washington, and then Hamilton and Eliza, and then the Schuyler sisters. I've been using buttons so much more since I got that first in line tote bag from BookCon. I've had a whole bunch of buttons that I've acquired for just bookish reasons, and I now love putting them on that bag. So I'm trying to fill it up, and the minute that I saw these, I knew that I wanted them. There's also this really great website that's like the official Broadway merch website for Hamilton that I'll leave linked down below if you want to check that out, because it's a really great way to figure out what you want to get before the show starts, so you can just go buy your things and leave, which is kind of what I did, and I had a good idea of what I wanted going in, and this is definitely one of the things I had my eye on, because 6 buttons that are all extremely adorable. I'm definitely going to use these and put them on that bag because they're super cute, and I now am like a huge button fan because of the fact that I have that tote bag and the amount of them that I've just been acquiring recently. So one more thing before we finally get to discussing this show is our seats. We were sitting dress circle center, row F, and these were marked as partially obscured seats on Ticketmaster, and the reason that I'm saying that in air quotes is because they were more than halfway decent seats. We paid like $85 for them when the seats in front of us were like $120, and the only thing that was obscured about them was that the way the stage is set up, this sort of platform, and for those of you who know the show setup, you know what I mean. You can't see really from the rear left and rear right. You can only see from like the chest down of each of the cast members, but if you bend your head a little bit, you can still see them, and the stage is in perfect view. You can see every single thing that happens on that stage, which is the biggest thing because that's where most of the show takes place, and a lot of people are just kind of standing up there in the ensemble singing along where a lot of your main action happens on the stage, which is important that you see that. And I'll leave a view to what my seat looked like somewhere here if you want to see that. The reason I'm pointing this out is because so many people worry about buying partially obscured seats because they're worried that they're not going to get the best view and that they're going to pay all this money to not be able to see anything. But these seats are perfect, although a lot of people say don't buy them. I think that it was more than worth it for where we were sitting. And yes, they're not the best seats in the house, but they're more than worth it for what we paid, and I was beyond happy with them. And I want to put that out there for anybody who sees those seats and is intimidated about buying them. They're excellent, and they're definitely worth what you pay for them, so I would go for it if you have those seats and you want to get them. Finally getting to the show and discussing everything, which is what you're all here for. I'm going to go in order of cast appearance and discuss like one thing that I appreciated about each cast member and then maybe get into some parts of the show, but I still want to get to stage door experiences and everything, and I don't want this video to be too long. So that being said, let's discuss all of these cast members and this show. The show was absolutely and entirely phenomenal. I was blown away. My expectations were beyond exceeded, and they were already as high as it is. I am so proud of this cast. I'm so glad I got to see them. They were all just so fantastic, and I could go on and on about them for hours, and it's going to be so hard to pick one thing to discuss about each of them because they have so many phenomenal qualities, and it's a thing that I could discuss for hours and hours on end. So if you want to do that, go right ahead and like DM me and we can talk because I would love to do that, but I have to make it short and sweet so that this isn't like a pain to edit later. So the first cast member that we have up here is Joshua Henry, and he plays Aaron Burr. This dude is beyond talented. Just insane. The amount of talent that he has just completely and entirely blew me away. And every single song he performs, fantastic. Wait for it is so good. The World Was Wide Enough was fantastic. Dear Theodosia, of course, is something that is just really sad, and that was really beautiful. I loved seeing that. So many really great songs from him. But for me, the one song that really did it for me, for his character, that was just really like sky high expectations, and like where everything was just really blown for me, was The Room Where It Happens, because this is the climax for Burr's character, and it's this point where he sees Hamilton, he's in that room with Jefferson and with Madison, and Burr keeps getting shut out from that, and he wants to be in that room, he wants to have that power, and he wants to be the one making those decisions, and Hamilton keeps shutting him out from that. And that's like the last time. And so he's seeing this and he doesn't know what's happening. He can't do anything about it. And the anger and the facial expressions that he shows in his performance is amazing. And the amount of applause that he got afterwards was like really long. It was like 1 to 2 minutes, just like people cheering and clapping and just thunderous applause. It was so cool to be a part of that because he was just so good. Like his facial reactions and the choreography and everything with that was phenomenal because that's like your last major number, and it was so cool to watch because he just nailed it. Then we have Jose Ramos, who is our Philip and our John Lawrence, and he is just so sweet and so precious, which are like two perfect qualities that describe Philip and Lawrence, and he was just the perfect person to play that role. And this is his first major theater production that he's ever done. And for it to be a show like this, that is probably one of the like most successful musicals of the 21st century in terms of like new written musicals that have been put out there. It's just absolutely insane. That definitely says a lot about this kid's talent. He is just so good. I feel like there's one specific moment that I can't pick out for him because he just makes you want to watch him with the amount of attention that he draws to himself. He's just so sweet. He's such a good performer. And I think for me, quite weirdly, I loved seeing him rap as Philip. That was really sweet. Blow Us All Away, that was beautiful. That was so great to watch. Of course, the Stay Alive reprise, that hurts like a bitch, but it was so good to watch. Weirdly enough, one of my favorite songs, I love seeing him perform Skylar Defeated for some reason because it was just really good. And then Take a Break, that whole song is so good. Every single moment that he has, all of his stuff in, you know, the first half as John Lawrence, there's not one specific moment that I could really point out because there's so many great things from his performance that are just so good, and he just really, your attention draws to him because he's such a talented performer. Next up we have Chris Lee, who plays Lafayette and Jefferson, and I could go on and on about this guy for hours. Biggest thing that I love about his performance is the humor that he adds to the show, which is such a big thing because when you're listening to the soundtrack, it's just lyrics and melody, and that's pretty much it. It's just straight up song. Whereas when you're seeing the show, there's a lot of humorous elements that you really don't get from the soundtrack because a lot of it is visual. And there is some stuff that's done with like, you know, voice things like that, but it's something that would be weird in a soundtrack because there wouldn't be context behind it. So all that visual humor that you don't get from the soundtrack is such a big thing that you forget about when you're seeing the show. There's so many really funny moments or things that characters really play up, and it's so fun to see. And Chris is one of those people that really plays everything up to like the 10th degree because his characters are perfect for it. Lafayette is such a fun character and he plays everything up in there perfectly. He has so many funny, humorous moments. And Jefferson is, I think, where he really plays it up. And it's so great to see. The cabinet battles. Okay, spoiler. The cabinet battles are so much fun to watch because Miguel absolutely destroys, Chris absolutely destroys, and you have a little bit of Wallace, who is our Madison. You have a little bit of moments where he's in it, and all the three of them together just have this great comedic timing, and it's the best thing in the world because it's not so much there when you're listening to it just with audio, but when you actually see it performed, it's so good. I can't even express it to you, but there's so many funny moments. One example, and this has to do a little bit with Wallace because he's an absolutely fantastic mulligan in Madison. But there's this really funny moment where Jefferson is finished rapping and he like drops the mic and here comes Madison. He goes to scurry and pick it up and he has this like handkerchief because they're like playing up that he's sick because that gets into one of the lines in Hamilton's rap, and he just like takes his handkerchief and like dusts it off, and it's the funniest thing in the entire world. Just the comedic timing on that was great. And then the second cabinet battle where they're talking about France and Jefferson's like, who provided those funds? And then he just like takes the mic and just kind of like slowly puts it over to Madison, and he just like, France. It's just the comedic timing, like you had to be there for it, but it was so good. And there's just so many other really great moments from Chris's performance that have just perfect humor, and that's the one thing I really loved about his performance, is that he really brings that to his characters. Talking about Wallace Smith, who is our mulligan and our Madison, I talked about him really briefly in a spoiler, but his Yorktown rap was absolutely fantastic as mulligan. He just really plays that character really well. It's really fun to see him do that. I personally enjoyed him more as Madison. I think that there's more to play on there because he's more of like a secondary sort of like follow Jefferson type character, you know, the type of thing where you always have that secondary character that's like the apprentice to the main character. So there's a lot of like humorous moments, things that you can play on there that he definitely does very well. That's fun to watch, especially in like the first few scenes and throughout all of this, which is just really, really cool to watch. Another moment, and I'm going to talk about it now because he's the final person that is in the scene, Washington on Your Side. This is a song I love listening to, but it was so cool to see staged because as you're getting towards the end, you have this moment where, spoiler, all the ensemble comes out and forms this like massive like assembly line as they're all like coming out, and it was the coolest thing to see. All the choreography for this show is spectacular, but that was a moment I really loved, and he did an amazing job performing that. And just as well as like several other like different performances. I loved his character. I think he did a really great job. And now we get to Miguel Cervantes, who is our A. Ham. He destroyed. I can't even explain to you how good he was. And you're nervous because you're filling in the shoes. You're stepping into the shoes of, you know, the creator of the show, Lin-Manuel Miranda. And, of course, you have Javier. You have all these amazing people who've played this role. And you're the lead. So you have to really be spectacular. And, you know, they cast the right people. But he was so good. I can't even describe it to you. I loved watching him. He plays his parts so well. He adds these really great humor in these places. One moment, nonstop. There's this really funny moment in Nonstop where they talk about Hamilton being chosen for the Constitutional Convention, and he does like this really cute dance. And when Lynn does it, he just kind of like raises his voice into being more excited, but he like does this cute little like excited dance, and it was so funny to watch. Like it was just perfect. And I loved watching it. He adds all of these really funny moments in. And, of course, the Reynolds pamphlet is always really funny because he's just kind of standing there as everyone's, like, parading around him, throwing all of these sheets. It's just such a good character. And, of course, all of his performances are fantastic. Another moment where I can't pick anything specific for him because he's, you know, in the entire show. But he's a fantastic performer. He does such a good job, and he's such a good Ham, and I just could not be more thankful to have seen him because he is so, so good. I have no words to describe how good he was. Him and Joshua Henry, two of them together being Hamilton and Aaron Burr, very much play off each other very well, and they're two just phenomenal actors. So the amount of stage presence you have in some of those performances, like in Dear Theodosia, The World Was Wide Enough, some of those moments where it's like just them is so fantastic to see because there's so much talent there. So now we get to the Schuyler sisters. We have Eliza, who is Ari Afsar. She is such good Eliza. Burn. Burn is a big moment for Eliza because there's just all these really beautiful notes, and it's this really sad song, and she plays it so well, and all the notes she's able to hit are so beautiful, and you could hear a pin drop when she is performing because of how just beautiful she sounds and how captivated everyone was in her performance. She's so sweet and just such a perfect Eliza. Helpless is another really fun song to see her perform because she just does it so well, and she plays, it's just, oh my god, so beautiful. And I loved watching her because she's just so captivating, and I have no words. I want to talk about everyone for hours, but I have to move on. She's so good. So then we have Karen Olivo. Karen Olivo, right off the bat, there are so many people that like panicked when they found out that she was casted. It was just like that moment in the Reynolds pamphlet where like papers are falling everywhere and like craziness ensuing. And originally wrote the role of Angelica with her in mind. And of course, you know, she ended up being casted. So it's so great to see her in the Chicago production because she plays it so well. Satisfied is a big moment for Angelica. She does that song so well. There was a really interesting way that she interpreted it where she basically, like by the end of the song, she's like in tears, like she's upset that she doesn't end up with Hamilton. Like she's playing it in this really sad way, which you really don't see played out when Renee sings it, which I thought was interesting to see that that was the way she interpreted it, because you could see she sounded like sad, like she was sobbing, like there was like this sad quality about it. And I just never thought about it that way, that she's watching Hamilton, this person that she really loves, her sister, marry him, and she's just kind of standing there on the sidelines and there's nothing that she can do about it. And you don't think about that at all when you see these things. You just kind of listen to it and it's just what's happening. You don't really interpret it so much on another level. So it was interesting that she chose to do that, because it really makes you think about what Angelica's going through if she really did love him, because of just the fact that they have a lot of things in common. And it makes you think, you know, did he end up with the right Skylar sister? Most people, of course, say he did, which I believe, but it's interesting the way she interpreted that. I just thought that that was really unique. Also, It's Quiet Uptown is a big moment for Angelica, because she is, you know, narrating this entire, like, really sad moment, and that was really beautiful to watch. Of course, she's Karen Olivo. She's an amazing performer, and I loved watching her. She's just beyond phenomenal. So then we have Sammy Ware, who is our Mariah Reynolds and Peggy. I loved her as Peggy. She's the perfect Peggy in the entire world, because she's just really bubbly and really sweet, and she played up the Peggy role so well. Now, the Aunt Peggy thing wasn't really something that was like there in the very beginning, but I feel like as more people have joined this fandom, the Aunt Peggy thing has become more of like a meme and more of just like this thing that's become culturally accepted among Hamill fans. And so I feel like it's getting more and more played out by all of these actresses as they're coming in to play that role. And it's the funniest thing in the entire world. It was so great to see her play that up, because it was just beyond hilarious. It was so fun to watch, and I think that she, you know, did it really, really well in the Skylar Sisters. It was so cool to see that. Of course, all of them, that entire song is really fun to watch, because that's like your introduction to them, and they all nail that song. But I loved watching her, especially because of how well they played her roll up. Say No to This was a song that I can't listen to, and I, like, whenever it comes on, I skip it. Not because the song isn't good, but because of the cringiness of, like, what's happening. Let me give you an example. It's like a horror movie. When the villain's in the closet, he has, like, a chainsaw, and there's that friggin' dumbass bitch who's gonna go and open that closet door and get herself killed, and you're like, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. And then she opens the closet, she gets her head chopped off, and you're like, bish, I told you not to do it, and now you're dead. Like, that's kind of what it was for him. Like, literally, it's that exact thing. Like, don't do it, don't do it. You did it, you're screwed now, son. So that was perfect to see how that was played out. But it was interesting, because they had this moment in the Reynolds pamphlet. She is sitting there and she's like dejected. Like, you can see that she's just like really sad at seeing what has happened, because you have to think about when he writes this, he clears his own name, but, you know, in a way it ends up backfiring, because it makes him look like a friggin', like, you know, like horrible for like why he did that. But, you know, in writing that and in clearing his own name, he made Mariah Reynolds look like a slut. And, of course, I haven't read the actual document, but obviously, you know, he isn't going to write her to be, like, some wonderful person. He would want to try to clear his own name. And, you know, seeing the way that he, like, did that when he basically used her is horrible. And that was interesting that he did that, because then, again, it makes you think about the show and makes you actually think about what's really happening rather than just listening. So I appreciated that. I thought that was so interesting, because you really have to think about what is Ham doing when he's writing this Reynolds pamphlet. So then we have George Washington, who is played by Jonathan Kirkland. So good. I could not be more just like in awe with his performance, because one last time, you have the notes that Chris Jackson, who's the original George Washington, is able to hit that are like impossible to hit. Nobody can hit those notes, being they're so unique, and there's a reason why they wrote so many of them in, because they know that he has that voice capability. And I would expect anybody to be able to hit those notes, to be able to do what he did. And Jonathan Kirkland, like, took that and, like, frigging, like, beyond exceeded my expectations for what I'd expect, considering, you know, the way that Chris plays that role. So good. He's the perfect just person to play that role. One last time was so good. I have no words to describe how good he was. But finally, we get to King George III. So Alexander Jovanovski is the original King George III for the Chicago cast, but they had the understudy in, who his name is Jin Ha, and I was a little bit nervous, because, I don't know, for me, understudies always freak me out when I see them, because, you know, you're always like, you want to see the original cast, and you're not, you know, you're not so sure about understudies. That could, you know, really happen for seeing any Broadway play. But he freaking blew me the F away. I have no words to describe how phenomenal this dude was. Oh my god. So good. The way that he played up King George III was amazing. So many humorous moments, so much fun, because you have to think, King George III, there's nobody else on stage. It's just him. So he has to be up there and captivate this entire audience so well. He adds the perfect humor to his character. He makes him super sweet, super sassy, and just perfect. Perfect. Oh my god, I'm so happy with him. So there's a moral there. which is do not judge understudies, because they're all fabulous. Oh my god, I'm so happy with him. His Instagram stories, if you're not following him on Instagram, his Instagram stories he does as King George III are freaking my life. They're the best things to watch because they're just so funny. He perfectly embodies his character so well, and oh my god, life. He gave me life. I'm just so happy with his performance. There's this really funny moment. You have I Know Him, which is the song before that, and you know, he's talking about like, oh, John Adams, he's in now, and the America's gonna fall apart, and they're gonna come crawling back to me, and he's doing like this whole happy jig, and then you like think he's gonna leave the stage, and then the Adams administration plays. You have this line that Burr's supposed to say where he's like, welcome folks to the Adams administration, and like Burr's standing right there, King George III is right behind him, and so he's supposed to say that line, and here comes King George III, he just like steps right in front of him, and he's like, welcome folks to the Adams administration. Like he does it like super cheesy and like fangirly, and it was just so good. I can't even describe to you. And then of course there's the moment where he's in the Reynolds pamphlet throwing around all the papers, and I knew he was in, you know, at least his 3 songs and that one song in the Reynolds pamphlet, but I wasn't expecting him to be in the Adams administration and to be like watching all of that. It was just really funny, and I wasn't expecting that. It was just so that's pretty much it for the cast in terms of my thoughts on them. If there's anyone that I missed, which I pretty much think I covered everybody, everyone was phenomenal. All the ensemble, of course, is fantastic because they serve as like the tech for the show, bringing in and out props. They were so amazing to watch. And just every single person who was in the show, who plays even the smallest part, was amazing and made this show so captivating to watch. So now to get to my stage door experience very briefly, for those of you who are going to see the show and you want to know about the stage door, when you exit, it's on the right hand side. There's like this hotel thing that's by the stage. It's over there, and then there's like a whole bunch of dumpsters that are on the side. They have guardrails that are up that have like the Hamilton banner on them, so you should see it when you get there. Run there like the minute that you get out, and like bring a Sharpie with you because not all the cast members have things to sign with. But I got there pretty decently in good space. I got to meet a whole bunch of the cast. I'm going to leave all of their pictures here because I don't have time to like dissect every single one. And then of course I have my playbook. I got some of them signed, not all of them, because I didn't bring a Sharpie with me. And so I had some of the cast members who brought them with. I can't even tell you whose signature is whose. I just was like totally frantic when I was like meeting everybody. One specific moment I'm going to talk about though is Jose Ramos. I was meeting him and I asked like for a picture. I told him it was my 16th birthday. I was seeing the show and I was like celebrating with them on my actual birthday, and he gave me the biggest hug, and I will never forget that moment for my entire life. It was just so sweet and my heart melted and I died, especially because he's such a perfect Lawrence and Philip, and I cry, guys. I cry. It just, oh, I'm broken, guys. He's so sweet, and all the cast members were so awesome. I got to meet Joshua Henry, Miguel Cervantes, Ari, Chris, big ones. Oh my god, everyone I got to meet. I didn't, of course, get to meet the entire cast, but the people I got to meet, oh my god, were so amazing. They're so sweet, and I just could not be more blessed, and I had just such an amazing time. And oh my god, that whole stage door experience was just one of the greatest things in the entire world. Oh my god. So that's pretty much it for my Hamilton Chicago experience video. I had an absolutely amazing time, and I could not be more thankful to everybody and anybody who makes the show possible, from even like the smallest workers at the private bank theater who sell concessions, or people who scan tickets and make sure that everybody gets in safely and everybody has a great time. Everyone who makes this show possible, I'm just so thankful because I had such a fantastic time. This is an experience that I will never, ever forget for as long as I live, and I'm just so beyond blessed to have experienced this, and it's the greatest thing in the entire world if you get to, and all the cast is so phenomenal, and I'm so excited for so many of you who are going to get to see this show in the days, months, whenever to come, because it is so phenomenal. And I have no words. I'm completely and entirely speechless. So I'm gonna go. Thank you guys so much for watching. This video is probably excruciatingly long, so if you sat through all of it, God bless you. I hope you all are having an amazing holiday season. Thank you for watching my channel, sticking along with me throughout these Hamilton related videos. I'm excited to get to more bookish content as the year ends, and I'm excited for 2017 to see what else comes, but this was just an amazing, amazing 16th birthday. I couldn't be more blessed. And I'm so thankful to all of you who wished me a happy birthday, and especially TIERNAN, for coming out. If you aren't subscribed to him, all of his like social media and channel information will be down below. And I'll have a birthday book haul coming soon. I'll have a wrap up coming up if you want to see that, because I've had 3 months worth of reading that I need to discuss with you guys, so expect those 2 videos soon. But that all being said, I'm going to say thank you so much for watching, and do not throw away your shot. I will see you next time with a new video. Love you guys so much. Thank you. Bye!